I can't believe it, but we just got some crazy news about Spider-Man Brand New Day because Sony just dropped 2 new posters from the film, an entire new scene of the movie, and a whole lot more details. Let's get into it all. Now, all of this information is coming from Sony's CinemaCon panel, which they're hosting right now, but they released 2 new posters, like I said, and this is the first one, and oh my god, this is one of the most beautiful posters I've ever seen in my life. This is giving me some serious throwback to, like, the old Raimi trilogy movies and just a bunch of older classic comic book films. I love the reflection of MJ in his eyes. I mean, they are just absolutely cooking. They knew they had to change up the vibe for this film, and I'm absolutely loving it so far. But we also got another poster. In this one, you can see Spider-Man fighting against the Hand. Not as amazing as the first poster, but still a really good one. They're staying away from the floating head posters, at least for now. Really strong start, and again, I'm loving the vibe. Now, we'll get to the scene they showed in a second, but first, Tom Holland gave a message to the people at CinemaCon saying that Spider-Man Brand New Day is the most emotional and most grown-up Spider-Man film ever made. He said Peter had to make a sacrifice that made all of his friends forget who he was, so now you'll see some of the consequences of that choice in this scene. Now, shout out to New Rockstars. They are at CinemaCon right now. I'm just going to read their entire breakdown here. So they say the scene begins with Peter seeing Ned in the bodega in the shot you see in the first trailer. Peter hangs up from the phone and watches as Ned buys 2 mini kegs of Green Jackal beer. Peter follows Ned across the street into an apartment. In the party, no one knows who Peter is, but a stranger gives him a beer cup. Peter goes into Ned's room and finds his Chewbacca Lego figurine. On Ned's research wall, there are headlines about a parkour prodigy and a skyscraper squatter arrested for the 8th time. Peter then officially meets Ned at his party after following him to this apartment, who tells him about a spider tracker app that he invented to help track down the identity of Spider-Man, and Ned says he narrowed it down to 2 people, Flash Thompson and Mr. Harrington. There is more to the scene I'm going to get to in a second, but I'm already loving the vibe of this so far, like Ned just being an absolute idiot, thinking that Spider-Man is either Flash Thompson or their teacher. I think it's also a super interesting angle to take to have Ned and MJ actually investigating who is Spider-Man, and it's going to be interesting to explore. Is that because they partially remember Spider-Man or memories with him, or are they just interested for some other reason? But then the scene goes on that they see MJ walk into the room and she makes her friendly neighbor comment that you do see in the trailer, which is of course a play on the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man name. Then they find out that MJ has a new boyfriend played by Amon Esfandi. Again, we saw this in the trailer. Peter watches them kiss, and Ned asks MJ about a job that she interviewed for, and she says she ended up getting it but turned it down because it was a soulless corporation, and New Rockstars is assuming maybe this is referring to Oscorp. And then the scene briefly goes on. You don't hear any more dialogue, but apparently they got to see Spider-Man, or Peter Parker, suiting back up in the Spider-Man suit and then swinging around New York City, and people said, oh, the action looks fun. You got to see a little bit more of the shot in the trailer we saw of his eyes turning black. All the action stuff was just cut together in a sizzle reel. That wasn't like a full scene from the movie. They still want to keep the context of those action scenes secret, it seems. I mean, the scene sounds absolutely incredible. Like I said, they're absolutely cooking with this poster. We're in an era of movie posters being terrible. This is giving me some amazing throwback vibes. I'm so happy with this news that we got from CinemaCon. And this entire week's going to be full of crazy news from CinemaCon. We're going to get Spider-Verse news today. We also had people just yesterday watch Avengers Doomsday early. If you want to hear all about that, click the playlist above my head right now, and thank you so much for watching.